Welcome everyone for the June 1st Flux Dev Meeting. Is there anyone who'd like to go first and volunteer to discuss an agenda item? We have the Flux 2.0.0 RC.5 release that's on the agenda for today. I'm not sure if anyone's prepared to discuss this, but it's just been released. Go check it out.
Yeah, I think the thing worth mentioning is that it fixes an issue with bootstrapping with AWS Code Commit and Azure DevOps, and maybe others as well, but those two are the ones we know about. So if you have issues with these, RC5 will fix them.
Yep, it's a regression related to RC4 that changed a lot of things, including customized 5. Quite a long list of notes in the release. So that's the main topic agenda item for today. I'm not sure if there's a discussion that we should have about it, or is there another agenda item? Does anyone have topics they like to bring?
We do have a few things. Oh wait, I think oh no, maybe you should reload the document. There are like 2 more new things. I just wanted to mention that I created a draft pull request for notification controller. It adds a V1 beta 3 API for alert and provider, where it's trying to make the alert and provider static data containers so that we don't need a reconciler, because we don't really do much in those reconcilers. It's just doing validation. We can do those validation using CRD validation itself. And it gets rid of a lot of extra code, a lot of complexity, and just simplifies things. The idea of this came from a few months ago when we were going for V1 Beta 2 API. We realized that alert and provider, when not doing much, they can be just static objects. And this is the implementation of that. And it's not ready. I have to add some more things. It's like we don't have reconcilers, but we are still performing some actions. Like if there is a error somewhere when you're processing something, those errors can be attached to, like, error events can be attached to the respective alert object. So you can still see the failures associated with an alert by the alert events. So you can start discussing what can happen with this approach. Pull request is open, or it's a draft, you can review it. And Matthias, this change also contains a lot of tests that you wrote, which I really simplified. Maybe you should have a look related to recent changes you made.
Okay, I'll review it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Awesome. I'm a little bit slow today because I'm only on one screen, so I'm flipping back and forth between the docs. I see that, Matthias, you have an agenda item as well. We can discuss that now, I think.
Yeah, it would be great. Actually, also, I have to drop in 15 minutes because I have the weekly sync here in my team. That would be great if we could chat about it now. Yeah, actually, it's something that I filed yesterday, a feature request. Basically, I would like to be able to send the events, the alerts from notification controller to the Google Cloud Pub Sub service. Pretty much, I described my specific use case in the issue. It's a concern about, like, so I'm still working on the Helm promotion flow, right? And to implement it here in my company. And I realized that the current approach that is in the docs that, you know, in that article in the website using the GitHub dispatch, I found a few problems, some security problems with it that I described there. Like you can only use the personal access token. Right now you can't use, like, if you want to use a GitHub app installation, that's not third party yet. But also that approach would also have a problem because I think like the permission you need for GitHub app to be able to invoke the repository dispatch workflow, it's too powerful. Like you can its contents read and write, right? So I think like you could do a lot of, you could literally change the contents of the repo. It's kind of too much for what I want to do. A simple deploy key SSH deploy key would be enough just to be able to create a new branch and create a pull request with that would be enough for what I want to do. So I kind of thought about a solution using Google Cloud Pub Sub here. I think there's already the Azure Events Hub, right? Like we already have a provider for Azure Events Hub. So I'm not sure exactly, like I just Googled quickly to know what this Azure Event Hub is, but it looks like a pub subsystem from Azure, right? This the same way. So I guess it's just like something that would make sense to have. And I would like to contribute that feature. About the authentication part, I would like to reuse the workflow identity. I mean, I think there are other ways to authenticate as well, right? For the Helm OCI repo, you can also use something else than workflow identity, but the one I want to use is a workflow identity, so I could contribute both, but especially workflow identity. And I see that right now in the package repo of Flux, it's like under OCI, so like there's OCI auth GCP or something. So I guess the best way to do it would be like maybe refactor that to make this, to reuse this the auth code for GCP and move it outside OCI, because it's not only for OCI in this case, right? Like there's nothing to do with OCI.
No. There was a recent changes like last week where we tried to make it more generic, not just OCI, it's OIDC login. There is a new function. There are two login functions. One was just OCI based, and there's a new function for OIDC login. Should have a look at that. It's very generic. It doesn't have anything to do with OCI.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna check it out. It's in the package repo.
It was added last week.
Nice. Okay, I'll take a look at that. So yeah,
the goal is to move that OIDC login into a new package and get rid of OCI login, because it's just OIDC login, right?
yeah,
Has nothing to do with OCI.
yeah, with OCI, right?
The reason for this is because the code originated from image reflector controller, so it was OCI specific, but now there's no need for that.
Nice. Yeah. So yeah, what do you guys think? Like it's can I go ahead and file some pull requests to implement that?
Regarding the GitHub app permissions, I see they have webhook specific permissions. And should that be enough? It says manage the post to receive hooks for repository.
Sorry,
GitHub
what?
app.
I didn't follow.
In GitHub app permissions, they have a webhook specific permission, which is not tied to the content.
Oh, right. Yeah, I think I also first thought that the webhook permission would be what I need, but like I think in the specific API endpoint that we use for GitHub dispatch, it specifically says which permissions we need. I'm trying to find this link again here. It it's in the, but yeah, like I'm gonna try to find this link, but it says explicitly that like so the route is post, repos, owner, repo, dispatch. This is the path. And like in the documentation of this route in the GitHub API, it says explicitly that you need metadata read and contents read and write. So I guess that webhook permission is for something else, but I could be mistaken. I'm gonna double check. Let me try to find that link real quick.
In the meantime, I pasted a link to a pull request that has been open for some time that is supposed to add GitHub app support to notification controller.
I
However,
was just
Hmm.
that's
I was just
stalled
about to
for
mention
some
that
time. Okay, yeah,
no,
thanks.
we have a in Flux community organization. We have a GitHub app proposed app secret project. Kingdom, can you paste it in Zoom if you have it? I cannot paste anything in Zoom. Right.
Yeah, here's the link.
You can use this project to generate the GitHub app token, and you can use it with notification controller. But just refer to the
Oh.
secret, it will use it. So there
so
was an
like-
attempt to.
There's already a way to use a GitHub app with the GitHub dispatch that we have. Oh, okay.
Right. So there is the pull request that Max is mentioning is that they're just trying to add the GitHub app token generation within notification controller. But we may have a use case where every controller needs this generation, and GitHub may have a limit of how many tokens you generate at once for the same account. So we decided to have like a central separate application which will generate it, and Flux can just refer to that and use it.
I see.
But
Yeah, the link.
for the
Sorry, go ahead.
for the permission bits, you can give it a try. If you really need some other permissions, you can look into that.
Okay, yeah, I can test it out. But yeah, the link I was talking about, I just sent it on the chat here. So if you guys open, it's specifically about the endpoint that we call in the GitHub dispatch, and it says specifically there that GitHub apps. So yeah, the endpoint requires write access to the repository by providing either personal access tokens with repo scope or GitHub apps with both metadata read and contents read and write.
I think there might be an implication of, if I'm thinking of what repository dispatch is and what it does correctly, this is an event that you send that triggers a GitHub action. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that the implication is that GitHub actions by default get contents read and write.
Right. Yeah,
So-
I think you're right.
So when you trigger one, you are, I think that's the reason why it requires that permission, because it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it,
Yeah, what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me.
At the same time, in GitHub Actions, the workflow, there you specify the permissions, right? You grant to the workflow itself that you can read the content or not. Or if it's like-
Right, but I guess like regardless of how your GitHub workflow file is gonna request for, the thing is that the permissions that you have to have, like having the contents read and write permission gives you a lot of control over the repo to make, so you can make API calls with that permission that goes.
it
You know,
does. There's a very fine line, I think, between contents read and write, and now you need all these branch protection rules just to keep your valuables safe. I'm not sure. This is very
Yeah.
well thought out.
Yeah, like for example, if you look at what contents, there's a section that lists, there's a section called contents, and all the API endpoints that are related to contents, and each endpoint ends with read or write. So like if you look all the write ones, all you can do with that, it's like you can rename branches and stuff. I don't, so the thing is, I don't know if like branch protection rules apply.
No, what I'm saying is
to-
the implication
Oh.
is that workflows can change branches as long as they're not protected and it's not outside of a branch protection rule. So
Mm,
the fact that you
mm.
can run workflows implies by default that whatever you're doing may be able to read and write, even if you see what I'm saying.
I
So
see.
you can design all your workflows so that they don't assume the read and write contents permission, but GitHub isn't assuming that you're going to go to that extent to secure it, and it's, I think, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I could, for example, test if like, I mean, let's say I already have the workflow, right? In place, the Helm promotion workflow. I can try to exploit like all the other API endpoints that I have permission for with contents read and write and see if like the branch protection rules actually like, I mean, yeah, if like I have a branch protection rule for main, right? And main is all that is important to me because that's what Flux syncs to. Yeah, I can test if even with the contents read and write permission, can I mess up main? I can test that.
But then you solve the problem that you need a personal access token to do that, right?
Yeah,
Which
there's
you
still that
said
problem.
can. I mean, I totally understand that, and in a business context, you can't do that. Like the person goes away, and
No,
then your workflows
you don't want to
break.
use a personal access token. That's what this
Right,
Flux community project GitHub app secret is for.
right.
And
Yeah,
have an app
Yeah.
which is scoped to a single repository and has specific permissions, even if it is repo admin, it's scoped and it's time bound.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah. There's this token problem. But Sunny, what was you saying about the GitHub app authorization that many apps would want that? Then we were planning to have one that
Oh, I'm just saying,
can.
right now we need, like in this use case, you need GitHub app secret in notification controller. Tomorrow you would say you need it in Git repository as well. So we have to add this token generation in source controller as well. The next you would say you need it in some like image reflector, let's say. So adding this token generation in every repository is not a good idea.
Yeah,
Because in the background, it's doing this GWT token generation, which has a lot of things happening.
yeah.
So I don't think it's good to have it in every controller. In case of, so I was looking at what Argo does. Because Argo is a monolith, it's fine for them to do it. But in case of Flux, I don't think it's a good idea. Like every controller would be generating their own secrets.
So you're actually arguing about how complex would be for us to have integration with GitHub apps in Flux, right?
Integration is simple. It's just you are doing the same thing again and again in different controllers.
Right.
You're generating multiple secrets within a short time.
Yeah,
And
I
you
see.
can have
So,
this
so
one
you're
secret.
saying like writing the code is simple, but like having it in a scalable
Design, or
yeah,
it's
yeah,
more of
way.
design.
Yeah. I see. Yeah. I agree. Yeah. So yeah, that's why like right now, like I like for my use case, I thought about having. I mean, it's also I think it's regardless of what I like, regardless of what I specifically want to do. I think having the Google Cloud Pub Sub as a provider is also a good idea, anyways, for Flux.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that. I think that is a good
Okay.
idea.
Cool. Okay. Can I go ahead and work on it?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, I gotta jump. I have the weekly team meeting here. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Bye bye.
Bye. Thanks, guys.
Do we have anything else for the agenda?
I don't think so.
I think we've covered everything. Okay. Nice seeing you.
Have a great day. See you guys.